Hello, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. I'm your host. Thanks for watching. As you guys know, we have a terrific team at the SI Fan Nation Raiders today. We've got Tom Lamar, who was a beat writer for over 50 years, who writes our long form stories telling you the history of the Raiders. He's our official historian. Daryl Craig Harris, who does our videos and our pictures. Then we've got, last week I said Aiden O'Connell. Clearly it isn't Aiden O'Connell, but it's Aiden Champion, who is another one of our writers. Carter Landis does a terrific job. Braden Reedy, man, he's so good. And our newest, shall we say, minion. No, our newest assistant beat writer. He's there in the building every day in Vegas, and I love working with him every single day. The one and the only Ezekiel Trezevant. Now listen, you got to help me because I got blasted in the in email. I was Trezevant or Trezevant.
Trezor but listen, either one works. Either one works. Like some people mess up the last name, but as long as you get close, I understand. I'm okay.
It's Vant. I got it right, didn't I? Did I not get it right?
Hold on. You cut out for a second. What'd you
All
say?
right, did I get it right or not? Trezevant.
Yes, Trezor. That's perfect.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, all right, here we go.
Sir.
All right, let's get into it, bud, my friend. Been an interesting week for the Raiders. We're not going to dig in a lot on Chandler Jones because it's not like he's went and done something criminal. And you know, obviously it's a complete distraction, but the team has compartmentalized it. I think you would agree with that. But the team's compartmentalized it. I think the players have a ton of respect for Josh and Dave, how they're handling that. I know fans don't want to hear it. I don't care. It's the truth, so I'm going to report it. And it's a sad situation. We wish them nothing but the best. But I'm going to tell you, you got to keep moving on because they're not stopping the games. And the games are going to come and the games are going to play, whether you got distraction or not. Malcolm Kuntz is going to get in there, probably get the start, but him and Tyree Wilson are going to get a lot. Now, here's the deal. At least the way I look at it, I want your analysis is Malcolm Kuntz is a guy that should have got more reps last year. I said that. I reported that. He's going to get his opportunity, but he's not the 7th overall pick in the first round. There's a lot of money invested in a young Mr. Tyree Wilson. This is Malcolm Kuntz's chance to make a statement, win a job, get a job, but here comes the Tyree train. Where am I wrong, Ezekiel?
Listen, it's ironic you say that. It's ironic you say that because I actually talked to Malcolm today. To Malcolm in terms of playing time, because he's been there a little bit longer, and because of Tyree's his injury. But like you said, it's an opportunity, and you never know how long that opportunity will or will not stay there. So Malcolm, you know, from talking to him today, he's a man of few words, but he's very prepared. He understands the opportunity that is in front of him, and he's ready to go. But as we have seen with McDaniels, as we've seen with this front office, you get that opportunity, but hey, it might not be here tomorrow. You could be off the team completely,
Next
like Alex
Bars.
You never know.
Yep, next man up. Hey, listen, if they're going to cut Alex Bars, anybody is, and they're going to cut Alex Leatherwood with nearly $20 million left on his contract. Ain't nobody safe.
So to your point, and I'll just throw this in about Malcolm. He's in a similar situation as Leatherwood was in the sense that he wasn't drafted by this regime. So at the end of the day, they're giving you a chance when they really don't have to. They didn't draft you. And if you don't succeed in that opportunity and you weren't even the guy that they drafted, they're going to be even quicker with that switch like they were with Leatherwood. So I think Malcolm is going to take advantage of this opportunity. I hope he does, but we'll see come Sunday.
All right, I head to ball. I'm heading up to Denver, of course, for the game. It's going to be a great game. I'm expecting, I think we both are expecting the Raiders to win it. And I want to go down in a different angle. And you know this, I may be your boss, but we're teammates in this, and you know I want you to speak your mind. I don't think this has been a distraction to the team, the Chandler issue.
Okay.
I think they've got a ton of respect for the way Josh and Dave have handled it. I know there's some people that just hate Dave and Josh. So no matter what happens, they're going to find a way to blame them. But the players are behind them. They love the way they've handled it. And as much as it can be minimized, it's that minimum of a distraction. Agree or disagree?
I completely agree. Damage control, right? At the end of the day, like you never want this to happen with your team, and you definitely don't want it to happen the week of a game, the week of the first game, and for it to happen to your starter, one of your starters and captains from I believe last season. That's always tough, and it's tough for everybody: the player involved, the coaches involved, the players that are not involved. I think luckily for the Raiders, they've experienced. Now, don't get me wrong; these are two completely different situations in terms of Chandler Jones and Josh Jacobs not being there, but they've experienced a starter or captain not being there during the offseason, it potentially being a distraction, and they've worked through it. So I think they're almost in the same boat. Can't let it distract you too much. You can feel for your teammate. You can love your teammate. But at the end of the day, they have a game on Sunday.
All right, let's talk about the three biggest things on both sides of the ball for this game. Number one, on offense, they just have to do what they've done all spring, unless it's a five-step drop. Get the ball out quick, number one. Number two, they've got to win the turnover battle. And I've told this before. I've told you it privately, but I've said it on the podcast. Don Shula once told me, the great Dolphin coach, that any win on the road in the NFL is a steal. And that was back before the league had the parity that it has today. So number two is they've got to win the turnover battle. They can't go to Denver and beat Denver and themselves. They've got to go there and just have to beat Denver. And number three, and I think this is a big one, is I want to see Josh McDaniels get up to speed. He doesn't have to go for 100. Doesn't need a honey. See, I've been hanging around with you, Ezekiel. You and Tayshaun, you're helping me out. But he's got to get those yards, because you can't let Denver take guys out of the box, put 7 guys out in coverage. You've got to make them put some guys up in coverage. And if they do, Jimmy's going to make the reads. That's my three biggest on offense. What do you think?
I think the one about McDaniels is probably the biggest one. To your point, I believe it was the first drive of the game against the Rams where they came out and Jimmy played and they walked it right down the field. I think that's what they have to do. I think they have to, especially for it being not only the first game of the season, but against the divisional opponent. Josh McDaniels has to come out and show what it is. And you're playing against Sean Payton. He's a very, very smart coach, very respected coach, and now you're seeing him twice a year. So Josh has to not only come up to speed, but he has to show what he's about. So I think they'll get the W. I think they have to keep Jimmy upright, keep him protected, and they have to run the ball. They have to run the ball, and I think they have to run the ball with somebody different than Jacobs the whole time, right? So you might have to lean on Zeus a little bit. I mean, Jacobs is your starter, but he wasn't there, so I don't think he's going to get he's not going to get 100% of the snaps, right? So you got to make sure
I think he's going to get a lot of them, and I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
He came in with more muscle and the same weight. He's in perfect shape, and I mean, people were shocked today in the locker room. I mean, he said, I'm more muscle, same weight. That tells you he's in the best shape of his life. And he even said, I feel great. I haven't taken a beating in training camp. And by the way, I'm really mad at you. I threw in a honey, and you didn't even give me no love.
I was so shocked, but I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting Hondo to say hunted. It caught me off guard.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
I like it.
All right. So let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. Three biggest things that I'm looking at for the Raiders win. Number one, my dad used to say, you can't complete a pass when you're laying on your ass. I want to see Russell Wilson get hit. I remember Al Davis said this, and I don't have the exact quote, but I don't know if he said it's within the first 4 or the first 10 plays of the game. The quarterback's got to go down, and he's got to go down hard. I want to see the Raiders hit Russell Wilson. I don't care if he gets the ball out. Hit him. I want to see him take a punishment. Number two, I don't think, number two, I want to see the Raiders get a minimum of 3 sacks. I think that's very, very important. And the same with them as the offense. They got to win the turnover battle to get this game. Where am I wrong, Ezekiel, or do you agree? Ezekiel, I lost you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Let's go.
Perfect.
Where am I wrong?
I think you're right in terms of everything that you said. We've been watching all of us have been watching the same team since training camp, since OTAs. And I think we're all on the same page with what needs to be done. Defensively, they have to put pressure on Russell Wilson. I think the good thing is that he's not the Russell Wilson of old. He's not as elusive as he used to be. So I think, the fact of the matter is they either have to sack him, which always is the goal, or they could just pressure him, make him uncomfortable, right? It's a new system for Russell Wilson too, right? So at the end of the day, make him a little bit uncomfortable however you have to. So I definitely think if you can get your hands on him, take him down. Turnovers, and just like with sacks, right? You might not have to always get the sack. You can just pressure the quarterback. You might not always have to get the interception. Deflect the pass, right? Disrupt the chemistry of the offense. So I think whether it's turnovers, whether it's just making sure that these guys that the opposing offense is off track, is off schedule, I think that'll do as well. So they've got to come to play, right? If the defense steps up marginally from last year and the offense does what they should do with Jimmy in, with Jacoby in, et cetera, I don't see any reason why they don't win.
All right. Next, I want to talk to you about key players. I said I think Michael Mayer is a key player. The Josh McDaniels offense is predicated on that tight end threat. He's the star. I don't care what anyone says. He's the number one tight end. They may not have him there on the depth chart. He may not be there for the first play, but we all know he's number one. Is that? Do you agree with that or no?
He has to be number one. If not, game one, game two, sometime soon. He looks the part. He's ready for the part. And that's going to be really the only way you get him up to speed on the NFL game is just by throwing him in there.
Yep. And then standing next to you at practice, we were talking about he was running with the ones.
Yeah, 100%. He was lining up with the ones from very early on. So he's ready for it. He's a smart guy. I mean, you don't get into Notre Dame for the most part unless you got the intelligence. So he's ready for it. I think he's a star. I think another person, honestly, man, and you and I have talked about it, Jacoby. I think Jacoby Meyer he's ready, man. He's ready. I think the fact that he's playing with Devontae now, and again, like when we're talking about receivers, you have to consider
and Hunter.
Right? Hunter, like you got to think about all the different pass catching options that the Raiders have. There's a lot of different people that can succeed now that they have so much talent on offense. So, it's, Renfro, you name it, right? Tight end, receiver, running back, so many different people can succeed in this offense because of how deep they are. So it's going to be fun to watch.
All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball, Ezekiel, where you look over and there's a lot of guys here. Obviously, Divine Diablo is a guy that he's had enough time now. Now, him and Malcolm, I think, I don't think they got the opportunities that they should have gotten. More Kuntz than Diablo.
Yeah.
But I think Diablo's got to step up and produce. But the guy I'm looking for most for a breakout series is cornerback Jacorian Bennett. I think he's going to have a big year. Your thoughts on Jacorian, please.
Crazy fast. He's the person that he's so fast you don't know who. You'll just see a guy just running across the field. You're like, who is that dude, right? And that's who it is that's running across the field. So he's one of those guys again that's going to be all over, whether it's deflecting passes, intercepting, locking down the receiver. He's going to make a name for himself quick. And I think the fans are going to like him a lot, as well as the coaches and the other players around him.
I expect Trey Tucker to be doing a lot with special teams as well as getting some reps. I'm really excited to see Trey Tucker. You know this because you're there with me in the building. It is one thing when we as a media see something, but when players start whispering to you and members of the organization about Trey Tucker, you knew there's something special because the players, they see more than anybody and they're excited to see Tucker. How excited are you to see that, my friend?
So I'm very excited, and to kind of talk about what you just spoke about in terms of the other players. There's one thing in terms of what the players do. They might say things about a player that they like, but you got to watch how they act around that player, right? And to see Davante Adams kind of just play around and joke around so much with Trey Tucker, going from the best receiver in the league, talking, and being friends with one of the, rookies, if you will, one of the lesser players on the team, if you will. Davante, that says a lot about how he feels about him, right? They like Trey Tucker. Everybody sees the potential, right? It's undeniable. He's got the speed. He never had any kind of catch issues in college. If he can kind of correct those here in the pros, the sky's the limit for him. He can't be stopped. In the preseason, he routinely was running through double coverages, right? He just got to shore up his hands. So, and I think the special teams is going to help with that, right? Having to catch, kicks, punts, whatever it may be. It only helps with the one issue that he has. So give him this season, on into next season. He's going to be special. He has a lot of potential.
Zeke, I know you've already picked 24-17 Raider win. So I want to go in a little bit of a different direction for you. The Raiders have a very tough schedule. I've said that if Jimmy stays healthy for 17, I think they win 9. I originally thought they would start 0-2. I now think they're going to win up in Denver. But how important is it for Josh Jacobs? I don't think this is a Super Bowl year, but I think it's important early to get some momentum, to feel good about themselves, for that defense to get some turnovers. I just think it's important, and I think they could go steal a couple games. But at the end of the day, I think it's important for them. If they're going to get to 9 wins, Jimmy's got to stay healthy. But I think they have to learn to start fast. And unlike in the past where we saw last year, they would start fast and almost put the brakes on. Josh has got to stick with what's giving them a lead and keep their foot on the gas. Where am I wrong, Ezekiel?
Yeah,
Pull out your prophetic skills.
So McDaniels, I think it is very important that they win this game. Obviously, game one is always important, but you're playing in the division, so it's even more important. And they're just at a crossroads, in terms of the organization. McDaniels needs this win. There's no way to put it, or no other way to put it. He has to win this game. Now, is the season over if he loses? Not by any means, but he has to get off to a good start.
You just said something. Wait a minute. You just said something. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said he has to win this game. See, I totally disagree.
Yeah,
I think it's important to win it, but
yeah.
This isn't a must-to-win game yet.
Correct. Definitely not a must-win, like, hey, we're trying to get to the playoffs. But I think in terms of getting off to a good start, in terms of everything that's going on with the team, I think starting off 0-1, starting off 0-2, that's not ideal. So, and then like you said, the word of the day is steal, right? Like, we understand, hey, winning a division game on the road is tough. Nobody's going to blame you if you lose it. But if you can get ahead, considering all that they've gone through the last year, during this offseason, this last week, you want to go ahead and get ahead for sure.
I also think it's important, Broncos are feeling a little chirpy. They're feeling pretty good. All of a sudden, they think because they got Sean Payton, they don't realize he ain't playing.
So that's what I was going to ask
coaching.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think it's the team that's getting chirpy, the Broncos themselves, or do you think it's Sean Payton that's getting chirpy because he's a chirpy guy?
Payton is. I think Sean Payton's trying to set the table so that if they suck, he doesn't look bad.
Oh wow! Okay.
But here's my point. I think it's important for the Raiders to go in there and remind them. We've won, I think, what have they won? 6 in a row?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, little brother, you need to remember who you are. Now, listen, you're too young to remember this, but I'm a Spartan. In the Michigan State-Michigan rivalry, Mike Hart one time, the Michigan running back called Michigan Little Brother.
Little brother, yeah.
And then Michigan State went on a ride that lasted a long time, dominating that.
I recall that.
I just think it's important for, I think Sean Payton is a good coach. I do not think he's a great coach. He's not a Parcells. He's not a Jimmy Johnson. He's not an Andy Reid, but he is a good coach. And I think he's a significant upgrade from Hackett. I'll tell you how good he is. If he'd have taken the Chargers job, I think you could have made an argument that the Chargers would be a dark horse to make a run at the Super Bowl. I think they've got all the talent. Their coach sucks.
Yeah.
And so it's not saying he's not a good coach, but I just think that there's a lot of talk. I think as much talking as Sean's doing, I think he's nervous. I think that's telling me that they're probably not as good as maybe they want to think they are. And I think this is a chance for the Raiders to just go up and pound them. Just send a message early.
So that's kind of why I feel like so again, I don't think it's a must win, but I feel like that very reason, like that's why they have to go in. Like you have to take advantage of the situation that you have. And I just think that the Raiders are a little bit further along in their quote unquote rebuild than where the Broncos are. And for that reason, the Raiders have to win that game. You can't let a team that's
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say you can't let a team that is fresh coach and that's way further behind than you beat you in a game that you could very easily win.
Zeke, there's an old saying that, especially in the game of football, but it comes from hockey. But when there's blood in the water, you got to pounce. And there's blood in the water up in Denver, and it's time for the Raiders to go prove they're ready to be Sharks. They may not be a great white, but you can go up there and say, look, I'm a hammerhead. You know, or I'm a
We're
bull
here.
shark. I'm coming. I'm not a great white yet.
And
But in the words of another coach up in Denver, up in Colorado, we coming.
yeah, we exactly that. We coming, right? We here, right? I think it's important, man. I think the Raiders have to take full advantage, and I think they will. I think they will. So it's going to be exciting to see what they do. I think just like they look at the Broncos and don't know quite what to expect because of a new coach and things like that. There's a new quarterback, there's new receivers, there's new additions here in Las Vegas as well. So I think both teams are in a little bit of a question mark, if you will, in terms of what to expect. But I think that plays in the Raiders' hands more than the Broncos' hands.
We were together every day at training camp. We were at many camps, OTAs together. Zeke, I'm telling you, I'm so glad it's football time. Let's get
It's
it on,
here.
huh?
It's here. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch them go play against another team for the game to mean something, for them to actually be trying to win, right? And not just see what they got. So it's going to be fun come Sunday.
All right, Ezekiel Trezevant, our new assistant beat writer. How have you enjoyed your first week with us at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Raiders today?
Hey, man, I've loved it so far. Thank you guys again. I can't say thank you enough. It's been an honor. I've been reading Sports Illustrated since I was a kid. So to have this opportunity means a lot to me. It means a lot to my family. And we're excited, man. We're excited. So thank you again.
Well, are you kidding me? We're just blessed to have you. You're a great addition to the team. You're such a good guy. And once we met Jasmine, your beautiful wife, we had to hire you. Now I'm gonna tell you, you may have missed your calling because you and I are not very attractive men, and we both have very beautiful wives. You know how to recruit.
Facts. Big facts. That's what it's all about. It's all about, like Kirby Smart says, always be recruiting.
Yeah, I told my wife the best job I ever did in my life was somehow convincing this beautiful blonde to marry me. How I ever did it, I'll never know. But dear God, I'm never going to doubt my recruiting skills.
Hey, you wanted life.
I sure did, and I also wanted life because I got friends like you. You know,
Thanks, man.
you're a terrific writer, but you're a better guy. I'm proud to work with you, and I'm
I
proud that
appreciate
you're
it.
part of the team.
Thanks for having me,
All
Hondo.
right,
I really do appreciate it.
that's my guy, Ezekiel Trezevant, teaching me. He's
Yes,
making
sir.
me more hip
By the
with
day.
the. By the way, I dropped the term honey, talking about 100, to my teenage son, and he looked at me like, "Wait a
Hey,
minute, wait a minute."
you gotta throw the D on it though. It's HUNNID. Hunted.
Oh, it's a hundy. All
Say
right, kind
hunted.
of like 50 Cent.
There you go. There you go. But hunted.
See, you're working on me. Hey, I got to tell you, I'm so stupid at that stuff. I'm sorry, but you're helping me. But you know,
Glad I can
I
help.
have, huh?
I'm glad I can help with that.
Oh man, it's bad. But listen, I appreciate you. I'm so glad you're part of the team, and I'm excited. Football's here, brother. My next podcast is going to be after. Well, I guess I'll have one more. All right, I'm 2 podcasts away from my post game podcast, and I better be talking
Hey,
about a Raiders win.
exactly. That's gonna be exciting to be able to talk about a game, man. I'm ready and I'm excited.
All right, hold on the line. I need to talk to you from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation. Raiders today. I am editor and publisher and beat writer Hondo Carpenter. This is my assistant beat writer, the great Ezekiel Trezevant, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks for joining us, everybody. God bless you.